Steve, man, thanks for coming in to do Survivor Talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So we're going to get Ciera on the Skype there, and then what I wanted to... Well, that didn't sound good.
Yeah, sorry. Do you have a bathroom I could use real quick?
Down the hallway to the left.
Cool, thanks.
Dobo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Dobo dobo. Dobo dobo. Dobo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Oh. Feeling better?
Much.
So like I said, we'll get Ciera on the computer, and then what I want... Yeah, again, that's...
Yeah, do you mind if I just real quick?
No,
all
please,
right, thank you.
Go ahead. Tata, Pimp Daddy, what's going on? Yeah, no, I'm just filming Survivor Talk with Poopy Pants. Beers? You know I'm down for beers. Let me just pick up one of those badass beanies that Savage has been rocking at Tribal Council. Yeah, no, you're a playa. No, you're a playa. I gotta go. All good?
All good.
Okay. Now, I also brought this in for you because you're such a crybaby. So, in case you need.
You know, I was in a lot of pain out there. I had severe gastrointestinal distress.
That reminds me. Do you mind?
Yes, you can hashtag that.
Excellent. Ethan, let's hashtag severe gastrointestinal distress. Steven, can you do me a favor and look straight at that camera, right into lens? Fantastic. You know what? Let's hashtag that right over his face. Can we do that? Just like right over the face. You know what? Let's make it blink. Let's just make it blink like a giant hotel sign advertising free HBO. Perfect, exactly. Top shelf, top shelf. All right, let's talk to Ciera, shall we?
Yeah.
So, Ciera, we heard from you all season. Nobody's making moves, somebody make a move. And then from Steven, all we heard was, this is the craziest strategy Survivor season ever, and everyone's making more moves than ever. So how do we reconcile this, guys? What is it? Steven, I'll start with you.
I think, no one was making moves that Ciera wanted them to make. I felt like we all were making moves, but, she just wasn't a part of them.
How do you respond to that?
I think that Steven was in that group of people. I guess, and I've said this in some of my interviews, certain people were making moves. There were a group, and they were people who were playing big and playing to win. And I think Steven was in that group of people. And I kind of named on my other interviews groups of people who weren't. Joe and Keith and Kimmy and Wiggles all were very satisfied with being middle of the road players, and those were the people that I was speaking to, and I was trying to kind of get to make a move. Obviously, I'm not going to talk to Steven and Jeremy and Savage and Tasha because they are in the majority, and of course they want it to go exactly this way because it sets up for them to dominate and win.
But I didn't like what was happening. I knew I was Jeremy's friend. That's why I kept on coming to you. It was like, Ciera, what move can we possibly make together?
Go
I
ahead.
think Steven and I we always talked strategy, and there was always that willingness to in the future maybe work together, and we did when it came to the Wiggles vote. And you were the person out of that group who I trusted the most.
Even though you immediately turned on me the second you had a chance.
Okay, yeah, but I'm playing a game for Ciera.
Yeah, it's whatever opening you can find. My take on all your big pronouncements about the strategy this season is this. Ciera, I think you're both wrong, first off, but I think you did the right thing in doing what you're doing in a sense. Ciera, I think you were trying to get someone to make a move, and when you're on the bottom or you're on the outs, you want someone to make a move, so you say someone make a move. Makes total sense. Steven, your sense is that you were trying to do what I think a lot of players do, which is Jeff Probst loves the big soundbite about how crazy this season is and how big, and you're far from the only one that's done that ever, or this season for that matter. But isn't there an inherent part of you when you're out there that wants to please Jeff Probst and you have these big pronouncements, whether it's that or whether it's in a confessional interview and talking up maybe someone else against them?
Of course, I mean, that's definitely part of it. He's coming to me for the what does this mean? You're the blogger, you're the podcaster. What does this mean in the history of the game? What does this mean in the context of all our past seasons? So of course you want to give him something good.
Because if you say not much, then that's not.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do think, and I think so far the gameplay has been a testament to this, that people on the bottom are not happy or willing to stay on the bottom. Ciera herself is proof of that. The people who were in positions at the bottom of an alliance or at the bottom of the whole tribe were constantly looking for inroads and to make opportunities for themselves, and I don't think that's always the case.
Ciera, is voting block just a fancy term for alliance?
Yes and no. Let's put it this way. like with the season with so many different swaps, it was hard to create a sturdy alliance. So in a certain sense, voting was constantly shifting, but there was a core alliance. The people shifting were kind of like the underneath people, but there was a group of people who were extremely close and playing together, and there was an alliance.
But you say that, and you say that that includes me and Savage, but like Savage and I were constantly trying to get each other out.
The difference is you guys wouldn't have voted out Jeremy, and we would have voted out Joe.
But you wouldn't have voted out Wentworth.
I would have.
Well,
Just more ruthless.
fair.
She was back.
Yeah.
Is it harder, do you think, to play with Abby or against her? Because it seems absolutely exhausting either way.
I say against her.
You think it's harder to be against her?
Easy, yeah. When Abby is the most loyal person out there if you cater to her. If you make sure everything is going Abby's way, you can't trust another person more than you can trust Abby out there.
But even at the merge, do you remember like she came in and you and Cass were totally with her, and Abby like, well, because you guys were like talking to someone else, she comes into the shelter and is like, I'm going to expose this whole alliance. Like to me, it always seemed like she was always flipping on her allies more than she was flipping on her enemies.
No, I totally remember that conversation, but for me, and she is like that extremely, but if I could make sure that relationship was going good,
Right.
I knew exactly how she would vote. She wasn't, to me, if she was on my side, she wasn't a wild card.
Right, right.
I mean, I thought I had a thing with her. You know, I thought I mean, obviously I was wrong, but I thought, you know, Abby certainly was loyal to Jeremy. I thought she and Jeremy had a thing, but that was I mean, I guess that was just never the case.
I think that Abby is maybe a better bluffer than we're giving her credit for.
That could be.
I think that I totally get both sides of the spectrum, but from my position where I was at, I knew as hard as it was to cater to Abby at times and to make sure she was on my side, I knew she was always a vote for me. I didn't doubt that she would be the one to flip on the other side.
Right.
Interesting. All right, well, here's what I want to do next. I want you guys to critique each other's gameplay, the good and the bad. Ciera, I'm going to start with you. Critique Stephen Fishbach's gameplay.
All right.
Okay, this is fun.
It's fun for me, too.
Okay, so let's start with the bad.
Right.
Okay, Steven overanalyzes things pretty bad, and I think that maybe because he is like a blogger and has all this like survivor knowledge, I think he really overthought things out there, and I think that kind of was his downfall because it really like resonated with people, and they saw like the nervousness and like him constantly thinking and trying to, you know, scheme, and I think people thought he had something to prove out there, which is why a lot of people were targeting him. He was very obvious about looking for idols, which also threw people off.
I have a bone. Whatever. You say your piece. I have a bone to pick with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say I'm just going based off of like why I know things were not liked. I think that Steven, you know, on the good parts, he was always somebody I knew was open to conversations and ready to make a move, which is I think shows his readiness to like adapt. I think he was very willing to like adapt to different votes. I think he was slightly naive to, you know, think something of like maybe Spencer or, you know, some other people out there, but he was very loyal to, you know, Jeremy, and I know that they were working together. He was somebody who I trusted to a certain extent, and that he was kind of like a free agent. I felt like, you know, as much as he had loyalty to Jeremy, he was also willing to like pull Jeremy in for different votes, and I think that got him, you know, to the merge at least.
I accept that.
Respond to that?
No, I think that's fair. I mean, the idol thing, you know, I feel like for the idol thing, that basically every time I left camp, people were like, Fishbach's off looking for idols, because people had this expectation that I would be off looking for idols. So I couldn't go anywhere without that kind of following me around, just my like reputation. But I think otherwise it's a fair assessment. Ciera, I'm going to start with the good. I think Ciera has an amazing social game. You know, coming in, you could have easily thought Ciera would be someone who would be targeted immediately. She's the smallest person out there. And in fact, she got in great with everybody. She's really great at selling her plans to people. You know, she seems so sincere all the time. And you just believe what she's saying. You want to believe what she's saying. And I think that's like an incredible skill. I think she's always thinking of scenarios. She's always looking out for herself. She's always trying to advance herself in the game. She's not willing to accept a situation that she knows is not going to be beneficial for her. And I think that's, you know, a great skill as a player. Weaknesses, I would say I felt like Ciera was, you know, same criticism for me maybe that people could make is trying hard to make a move almost at the expense of what like the right move is, and that's why and hard to build trust with. I think a lot of people out there thought that she was untrustworthy and schemy, and for myself, for example, I thought I kept on trying to build a relationship with Ciera, and everyone kept on being like, oh, Ciera's throwing your name out. So I get it from your perspective, like why not throw Fishbach's name out? I can get other people on board, but from my perspective, it's like why not be with someone who wants to be with you and who's willing to work with you later into the game. And then, a little lazy.
Ooh,
Yeah, she'll agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
That's called conserving your strength for the challenges,
Well-
Steven. That's what that
Exactly.
Suppose you're so strategic. If you were always out doing things, it would probably increase the target. I mean, I'm excited. I hope Ciera said she wants to play again. I think she would. I think third time she's gonna take it.
Thanks, Steven. I think that everything you said is totally true and fair, and you're awesome.
All right,
Thank you.
perfect. Was Steven too focused on Joe?
No.
No.
Oh, that's the first time anyone said
I
that.
don't think so. I think everybody was. I think that I know Tasha talked about it all the time wanting to get rid of Joe. I think it was like everybody knew if Joe lost, he needed to go home. But I think if Steven was willing to get rid of, Wiggles and make other moves, I don't think he was too focused on him. I think he was right to have attention on him.
Well, you had to go after Wiggles because Joe had immunity that time, so.
Yeah, but there were other people. I think Wiggles we thought was just like the biggest threat. I feel like you threw out Wiggles' name. It showed me throwing out Wiggles' name, but I thought it was you who brought her up.
I was definitely good with Wiggles going.
Yeah.
Let's talk about at where we are now. Okay, Steven's you guys just got voted out. At this point, who's played the best game? Now we know, I want to be very clear, this is not spoilers. A lot of things can change. People can make big moves. People can make terrible moves. People can get voted out. We saw, say, Natalie and San Juan del Sur made a late great run that sort of made her the most deserving person. So who at this point, when you guys went out, that's still in the game, do you think has played the best, Ciera?
I'm biased, but I do still think it's true. I think Wentworth.
Why?
Because she's playing from the bottom. She was on Takeo in a Bion strong group. So she was already on the outs, and she's really, fought her way to where she's at. I know she's built a few different relationships with Spencer that wasn't really known, and Joe, and then playing that idol, and she pulls her weight around camp, and she's good at challenges. I always root for the underdog, and I think that there's Jeremy as well as playing really great, but I'm gonna give it to Wentworth.
All right, Steven?
I mean, obviously, I've got to say Jeremy. Jeremy, I think, is playing a really smart strategic game. You're going to disagree with me here, Ciera, but I think Joe is playing a really good game.
All right, well, guys, it's been a great season. I said it, this night of this sort of pre-Thanksgiving night of 2 episodes. Unfortunately, your ouster episodes really did sort of elevate this season from really good to great. And so we're looking forward to seeing what you guys do on the jury. Ciera, thanks so much for calling in. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Ciera.
All right, that was fun.
Yeah, that was great.
Actually, that time, it was me. Gotta go.